Good morning and welcome to this edition of the Kitchings Table. I'm your host, Earl Kitchings, and as always, right here on Awesome Radio, WBISLP 106.9 FM, you can find us. And today we have an interesting show because this particular topic touches many of us. So I can't wait to delve into it because if you either grew up with one or you have one now, they've always just been a part of our families. And I know in growing up myself, there was, even to this day, there has not been a time where we have not had a dog, primarily at my parents' house. My mother loves dogs and especially German Shepherds. So over the course of my lifetime, she has probably had at least 10 German Shepherds. So our topic today here on the Kitchings Table is Fido or Kitty. Is that my pet? And I thought about this because, as we like to say, our pet is that extended part of our family. And we do a lot for our pets that we may not do for other family members. And the fact of the matter of the pet industry being as large as it is, where, now you have big box stores for pets, for you to buy many of the pets that you would like to have. There are grooming there. There's a veterinarian there, and all the other things that go on for a healthy lifestyle for our pets. So I wanted to talk about the pet industry today because as much as we love our pets, we need to have some additional information about the industry as a whole. What kind of changes are going on in the industry? What kind of things are trending? And just what type of pets we like. And in our pantry section today, we're going to talk about the non-traditional and exotic pets. But for the most part, our pet or our pets, because we tend to have sometimes one or more, they kind of line up in two categories: a dog or a cat. A dog or a cat. And in 2020, according to the American Pet Products Association, the pet industry reached a milestone in 2020. They had total sales of $103.6 billion. I want you to think about that for a second. $103.6 billion in sales in the pet industry in 2020. And what they are saying is that trend line continues to inch up. It inches up. It's been growing quite a bit over the years, but $103 billion pet industry. So when we see the pet commercials, and they're cute, of course they are. When we see our pets in the home, when we see our pets outside, when we see them interacting with similar pets, when we see pets we think don't get along looking like brothers and sisters, when you see a dog and a cat getting along, it dismisses all the myths we grew up with, for the most part, that the dogs don't like the cats and the cats don't like the dog. And, the cartoons have shown us that over time, at least when I was growing up, that the cat was always pursued by the dog. And then the bird in the cage was always pursued by the cat. So we're going to talk about this industry that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, $100 plus billion. And when we talk about that, they talk about the projection growing at an average of 5.8%. And I know a lot of times percentages throw everybody off. So just think 100, and then you say 5%. So that's like a nickel. It grows by 5 per 100. But to see that kind of increase, because in 2019, it was at 97 billion. So you had a $6 billion jump in a matter of a year, which if you're in the pet industry, everything's rosy for you for that. From that standpoint, you're extremely happy and excited that your industry is doing that well. You have pets, and some people have multiple dogs or multiple cats. Some people have animals and they call them their children, and they dress them up and they sleep in nice beds. And even for some animals who are mascots for some college teams, and specifically I speak of the Bulldog of Georgia, Ugga. At the games, he is at the game and he has a little doghouse with an air conditioner. That's what they do for these animals. They go beyond the calling for our animals, our pets. So then it says, of the $106 billion that was spent in the pet industry in 2020, $42 billion was spent on pet food and treats. $42 billion spent on pet foods and treats. That's a lot of food and treats. So that was almost a 10% increase. And then veterinarian care and product sales, that was $31 billion, which was an increase of 7%. $22 billion on supplies. So, and supplies tend to go toward live animals and, not live animals, just the things you buy for your animals. And then live animals and over-the-counter medications, that was up 15% from 2019. Then it talks about an additional $8.1 billion spent on other services such as grooming, dog walking, and boarding. But it said that was a decline of 20%, 21%. COVID had something to do with that. So that was a breakdown of where the money goes in the pet industry. And, you wouldn't think about it sometimes, but it's a big business, as we like to say in this country, it's big business. So the pet industry is big business. So if you are someone that has an idea for a product or a service, it's money out there to be made because people will, take care of their animals. And one of the things that I guess it falls on one of these categories, but there are even pet cemeteries. So some pets get funerals and they're done at a high level. That if that animal, cat, dog was in that household for 15 plus years, man, that dog had star power. It had some credit, some leverage. The dog is sick, we're going to get the dog fixed. If the dog has been injured, taking them to the vet and getting them fixed. Whatever the dog or cat needs, we're taking care of it. So I found some information in an article online from the Forbes magazine. And it talks about, of course, the pet industry boom. And it says that 85 million households have a pet. And over the last 30 years, pet ownership has gone from 56% to 68%. So that's a 12% increase in pet households. So it's 85 million households that have pets. And then it talks about millennial and Generation Z, who now are adults that can pay their own bills and do their own thing. They've really embraced the pet industry, having a pet and the lifestyles of a pet, far greater than perhaps their parents did. So you want to go to like a PetSmart or one of those type of store, Petco, and hang out and just observe people and watch who comes in with what. Now, of course, most of them are going to be bringing in a dog or a cat. If you have something other than that, you're probably going to need a specialist to a large degree. So when we have the animals that are our feather friends or our friends who live in water, that takes on a different perspective. And when we talk about those particular animals in our pantry section, which are the non-traditional exotic pets, the list, when I ran across some of the types of animals that people will make pets of, it's unbelievable because we're so traditionalized by dogs and cats. But of course, you now have, people dealing with all kinds of animals. And, not all kinds of animals are animals some people like. For me, I won't say I don't like cats. I just wouldn't have a cat for a pet. A cat, when you talk about a cat, when you compare it to a dog, a dog is engaging. They don't call a dog man's best friend for nothing. A cat will never get that distinction. A cat will never be called man's best friend because a cat doesn't do much other than be cool. Would you agree with that? Cats are like the cool pet, They don't do a lot of running around. You come home, they're not running to the door to greet you. They'll walk to the door, rub up against you, then they'll go back to doing their thing. It's not like petting a cat like petting a dog. You can't teach, you can teach cats tricks, but you're not going to go outside and throw balls and sticks with a cat because they're not going to chase it. The cat's going to look up at you like, what do you want me to do with that? I don't do the ball thing. I don't do the stick thing. You don't walk a cat. That's the other thing. I've never seen anybody walk a cat. That would be crazy. If I saw somebody walking a cat, I'd be like, that's odd. You walking your cat. So you don't have anybody walking cats. And, for the most part, cats will kind of, if they're in your house, they kind of stay out of main traffic. They don't, hang around so you can see them a lot. But a dog will follow you around. Dog wants that attention, wants that petting, throw me a ball, run a stick around, whatever toy you got, cats play with their toys by themselves. Dogs want you to help play with their toys. So I said cats are so cool. Cats are just the coolest. They laid back. I guess that's why we when we talk about a cool cat, from a human perspective, man, that's a cool cat over there. Look how cool he is. Yeah, you just look at a cat. That's how a cat is, really, really just laid back. So we talk about our pets and what they do. So now, here's some of the trends that are happening for pets in this day and time. Food, number one. Nowadays, the consumers don't want the traditional pet foods. They want something a little bit more healthy with healthier ingredients, more fresh ingredients, made to order for their pets. They just wanted to be real specific as to what they're feeding their animal. Traditionalists like myself, we still kind of do the wet and dry food mixed together for your animal. Definitely don't make it a habit. Please, if you got a dog, please, if you're going to feed them a bone, feed them a bone like a rib from a pig or a cow or beef like that. But the chicken, poultry bones, no, because when they break, they're sharp. Bones from like pork chops and things like that, they are sharp. So try not to feed your dog the bones like that. Just keep it simple. So now when we talk about brands, what brands are most of us familiar with? When we talk about dogs, first name comes to my mind is Purina, Friskies for cats. They've expanded that over time. You know, it's interesting how you get a small can of cat food and dump that out, and that's all you give the cat. Cat's a little smaller than the dog. You know, you couldn't dare feel a Saint Bernard or a Great Dane, you know, something that small and think the dog is going to be full. That's not happening. So, you know, the brands are getting bigger. Pedigree is now a brand. Amazon has a brand. Chewy.com has a brand. I love the Chewy commercial where the dogs are talking about the peanut butter boxes here. You know, I love that commercial. Then we talk about treats. Pet parents feed their animals a treat 8 to 10 times a day. All kinds of treats out there. Then we talk about the technology for our animals. And that has more to do with the pet services and making sure that, you know, things are online. You know, you can now put some type of finder range, like a scanner or something in your pet so that you can find them if they're lost. So the technology is out there, especially when we talk about the veterinarians dealing with taking care of our animals. And services have increased. Of course, we know about the grooming, but then we talk about pet transportation, pet hotels. Once upon a time, you just take the dog to the kennel, drop them off if you're going out of town. Now they put them in a hotel. First class, suites, I don't know. That's what comes to mind. Then, as I said, we talk about when a pet life comes to an end. And they say that there are a lot more products and services for animals when this happens. Palliative services for terminally ill pets, cemeteries, cremation, grief counseling for pets. So pets, you know, again, some of the same things that we do for humans, we do for pets. Availability. Merchants, grocery stores, dollar stores, adding pet foods and other products. So it makes it easier. The distribution of pet products are not just at pet stores, but you always used to go to the grocery store to get your pet food. But now you can go to the Family Dollar, the Dollar General. They got pet foods in there. Even in Walgreens or whatever drugstore in your part of the country you're in. So they have those things there. And then they talk about what is a DTC, which is direct to consumer trends. And that's probably like you ordering products like Amazon online and it's delivered directly to your door. You don't have to leave your house. Direct to consumer. And that's a big business because that's trending up. So those are the things that part of the trends are following. But then it goes on. And then there are other services that, again, is just phenomenal. For instance, and I'm going to go through this list of other services that are out here by name for pets. Pet Plate, a subscription service that sells premium human-grade food for dogs. The service can either be used as a supplement to a diet or ideally as the dog's entire diet plan. Pet Plate. The product is shipped frozen in custom portion-sized containers. And this particular company is already getting a lot of venture capital backing. Then there's Wonderside. Wonderside makes safe and effective pest control for pets, families, and homes. Needless to say, fleas and ticks. You want to keep those off your animal and keep them out of your home. It's been around for about 10 years. It was founded by a female, and that's what it does. Then there's Dog TV. One word, Dog TV. TV for dogs. TV for dogs. A high percentage of dog owners leave their dogs at home alone for hours at a time, and about half of those leave a TV or radio on for the dog's time alone to be more pleasant. So imagine you have like a 19-inch flat screen for your dog to watch whatever TV shows there are for dogs. And it says here, human entertainment is not designed for dogs, and that's what Dog TV seeks to secure. It seeks to identify programming that dogs can watch. Somebody's out there thinking, let's come up with a program that dogs like to watch. So a lot of research goes into this to find out what kind of shows dogs like to watch. So the service is available by subscription online on DirecTV, Dish TV, Comcast, Cox, and RCN. Dog TV. Another service called Dig. Dogs Persons dating app. And this helps you to engage dogs for possible relationship with someone who already has a relationship in their home and who wants a dog in the future. It helps plan friendly dog dates. And the people who use this app, 65% of them are women. And the primary target cities are Austin, Texas, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, New York, and San Francisco. How many users does Dig have? 154,000 so far. That was as 2018. Then there's Kit Nip Box. And this comes monthly to cat owners, and is a high quality toys, all natural treats, and other fun, healthy products for cats. While this market was designed for dogs, they found out, hey, there are cats who want this same thing. So they came up with Kit Nip Box for cats. And as a result, they've seen the subscription go up. Then there's Grand Poo Box. And it's a kitty litter box that has a number of innovative features. It's relegated to a closet or a bathroom, and it's one of those things where half as much of a kitty litter as traditional kitty litter boxes, but it's integrated with graded ramp that cats walk on when they exit the litter box. Now they can jump in, but they walk up the little ramp to exit. Right now, Grand Poo Box, if you subscribe, is $85. Then there's speton.pet. And this is a transportation service for your pet, like Uber or Lyft. And what it says is drivers are not required to take pets, and the result can be delays, cancel rides, and lots of inconvenience from Uber or Lyft. So spot-on.pet is the answer to that. The drivers won't reject your pet, and they will provide protective seat covers for the car and seat belts, which is like a harness for your dog or cat to ride in. And it's comparable to Uber because the drivers receive 85% of the cost. Spot-on.pet. It was launched in New York, and they say it's coming to a city near you. Toledo, again, another kitty litter box that monitors your cat's healthy passively. The cat enters the litter box, recognizes that your cat, and distinguishes between multiple cats using facial recognition. So here's a service where the service actually recognizes your cat, I guess, for you to use the litter box. It monitors the cat weight, urine volume, and how often they use the litter box. It helps the cats to help monitor urinary tract infections, kidney disease, and obesity. This is a subscription also. Then there's something called Animal Biomeat. And it says 20% of people suffer from chronic digestive conditions like colitis, inflammatory bowel, and other disorders. So here's an answer for your pet. And it says it offers gut health testing and supplements for pets to be healthier. And 80% of cats and dogs take their supplements in a measured and beneficial way. Animal Biomeat. Then there's MixLab. Provides personal medications and wellness products for pets. Then there's Pet Joy. Mass customization of pet products. And Puppy Joy guarantees a retail value in its subscription boxes, but it provides treats, chew toys, supplements, accessories, as well as other preventive care items for primarily dogs. Pet Joy. And then the last one is Puppy Mama. Puppy Mama is a platform for women to connect with each other and share how their dogs help them and bring joy to their lives. So here's a human service for pet owners, specifically dogs and women dog owners in particular. Puppy Mama advocates for a more dog-friendly world, and with this brand, it's driving sales of branded apparel and other products in the Puppy Mama e-commerce store. So you can go online to Puppy Mama and get what you need to get for your dog, or you can have conversations with other people, other women specifically, who are into dogs. So, hey, this is the Kitchings Table. This morning we're talking about Fido or Kitty. Is that my pet? We're talking about the pet industry here in the United States, just in the United States. So now we're going to talk about some of the pets that are out there. And then we're going to go into our pantry section, which we're going to talk about the exotic and the non-traditional pets. So we start off with dogs. And you know, the dog is a descendant of the wolf. So you've seen commercials that show you a wolf and then it trying to transforms into a dog. All dogs start off as wolves, or that's where they say it starts from. It's derived from an ancient extinct wolf, and the modern wolf is the dog's nearest living relative. The dog was the first species to be domesticated. Now, there are 180 breeds of dogs in the world. So rather than go through 180 breeds, I figured, well, let's just look at the most popular breeds. And Maybe your breed is in here, maybe not, but it doesn't matter because you love your dog loves you, and they're just not on this list. But, all dogs are dogs that we love and want to take care of. And of course, dogs in certain countries are dogs that are used for work. So if you go to your veterinarian's office and you know the big chart on the wall with all the breeds of dogs and how the bloodlines and what dogs do what, some dogs are just house dogs, some dogs out there working. The most common dog that I know of that works is a husky that pulls dog sleds. That's the one dog I know does some serious work. But when we talk about security, police dogs, security dogs, they are very engaged with working. They get trained very intensely. So when we talk about the most popular breeds of dogs in 2021, here's what we found on the short list. This is just the short list. Golden Retriever, Labrador Retriever, French Bulldog, a Beagle, German Shepherd, Poodle, and Bulldog. Most popular dog breeds in 2021. The short list: Golden Retriever, Labrador Retriever, French Bulldog, Beagle, German Shepherd, Poodle, and Bulldog. Then we flipped over to cats. There are 40 to 70 different breeds of cats. And again, here's the short list of the types of cats, the breeds of cats, the short list. The exotic short-haired cat, the ragdoll cat, the British short-hair, Persian cat, Maine Coon cat, American short-hair cat, the Scottish fold cat, and the Sphinx cat. Sphinx, Scottish fold, American short-hair, Maine Coon, Persian, British short-hair, ragdoll, and exotic short-hair. Those are the cats that are at the top of the list. So if you've got a cat and you're not sure what breed it is, see if it's one of those top breeds on the list. Now, I think after dogs and cats, the one pet that you'll probably see an abundance of are those pets that live in aquariums. The aquarium business is a large business, and the industry estimated in 2020 that it was almost a $4.9 billion industry. And they're expecting it to reach 11 billion by 2028. So in about 6 years, it's going to go from 4.9 to 11. So we build, or we have aquariums built, or we can purchase aquariums from the 5-gallon to the 20-gallon to the 50-gallon. I have a cousin who, until recently, had and installed a 500-gallon aquarium in his home. 500 gallon. It was beautiful. Lights, all the mechanisms for sending in the fresh water, filtering the water back and forth, keeping that water clean and fresh for those fish. And he probably had, I guess, maybe about 10 different species of fish in there. All kinds of fish. He even had spiny lobster in there. And he's always been this guy who enjoys exotic pets. And I've known him to own Oscars, and a tiger Oscar in particular, very beautiful fish, and they can grow to be very, very large. I mean, larger than my hand. And I recall when he had the Oscars, you feed them live like minnows, and they eat them whole, just gulp them up. And he moved from the from the Oscars to piranhas. He used to own some piranhas. So he's always been into these exotic animals. He's had a gray parrot. So in addition to him having this 500-gallon aquarium inside, he had a koi aquarium, a pond outside in his house. Now he lived in Denver. He since has moved, but he lived in Denver. So he's got like this rock fountain that flows water into this pond, this rock-built pond, where he's got these koi fish. And you know, koi fish can live in very cold water. So he's got the koi fish outside. He's got the tank inside. I mean, that's stuff he loves. So that brought me into that world of, aquariums and things like that. But when they talk about pets, there's a short list of fish. And you have freshwater fish versus saltwater. And of course, a saltwater aquarium is the most expensive fish to an aquarium to maintain because of the water. Got to keep that salinity in the water for those fish to live. So we talk about some of the fish that are popular: the betas, the discus, the swordtail, the gouryamis, the zebra danios, the neon tetras, and guppies. And of course, the common goldfish. All those are freshwater fish for the most part. They're a little bit easier to keep up, but still, you've got to change that water, have that filtration system working, because it's not any fun to come home and see your fish floating in the tank. You know what I'm talking about. So that are our extended pets. So now as we move into our pantry section of the Kitchings Table here on WBIS, Awesome Radio 106.9 FM, YouTube, Facebook Live, Roku, GPAC 23. Those are the social media platforms you can catch us on. But every Tuesday morning here on WBIS at 10 o'clock, you've got the Kitchings Table with your host, Earl Kitchings, who is moi. And we're always happy to have you with us as we talk about our topic today, Fido or Kitty. Is that my pet? So here we talk about the non-traditional and exotic pets. And this, again, not the full list, but when you search for certain topics or things online, you get certain responses. So I typed in traditional and non-exotic pets, and what came back was interesting. And so the non-traditional pets are what I'll give you first, and then I'll move into the exotic pets, which you're kind of familiar with a couple of the exotic pets. And I think most time when we talk about exotic pets, the first thing that comes to mind will be reptiles, i.e. snakes. Not my favorite pet. Not my favorite pet at all. Lizards, not my favorite pet. Spiders, no. So for those of you who love those types of animals, I have a friend who has a gecko, or two geckos. A gecko, I'm sorry, not a gecko, a gecko, excuse me. Gecko. Got mixed up with the insurance commercial, gecko. But here's the list of the non-traditional pets that are allowed in the United States if you want to use or have them as pets. At the top of the list, you're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked. Trust me, you're going to be like, what? And it was not until a couple of years ago when I saw this animal for the first time ever in my life in the wild in a residential neighborhood. I was visiting my uncle in New York, and one evening I happened to go outside, and by the street light, it looked like a cat, but then it didn't move like a cat. And when I kept looking at it, come to find out, it was a skunk. And a skunk can be a pet. Now, I guess you get a skunk, you want to have that sack removed, because anytime a skunk is in defense mode, they're spraying that toxic, awful smell. And if you're inside, I'm told, man, of course, you don't want that in your house, all over the furniture, all in the carpet, because it is a mess to clean up. But, that was the number one non-traditional pet. Second was teacup pigs. And a teacup pig is a type of pot-bellied pig that grows to be about 50 to 60 pounds. Okay? Teacup pigs. Then next we have the African pygmy hedgehogs. And this is a hybrid species of the most common domesticated hedgehog. So that's the third one. Then you have something called fennec foxes, and they're nocturnal with very adorable large ears, as is described here. They're small, nocturnal, and that means they do a lot of night activity versus day activity. Then there's the wallaby, which is a smaller version of a kangaroo. And of course, the wallabies come from Australia. What do you think, Mike? You want a wallaby? Or you want a koala bear? Hey, Mike. So, wallabies, a pet. Capybaras, large rodents. You've probably seen them. They look like a large guinea pig. A little bit bigger, about the size of the pigs, but they look more like guinea pigs. They get like a rodent. They're the largest rodent in the world, as it says here. The largest rodent. And we know what most rodents are: rabbits, squirrels, rats. That's the rodent family. Then next there's a wolf. It could almost be like a dog, if you get them young enough. Then the next one is the muntjac deer. Muntjac deer, Muntjac. Very small deer found in Southeast Asia. So if you want a deer, and I guess if you just need to know how cute it is, just think about Bambi, the animated deer Bambi. Think about something about that size. And last but not least, there are these animals called sugar gliders. Sugar gliders. Small marsupial animal that's similar to flying squirrels. Similar. And if you've ever seen a flying squirrel, a flying squirrel will jump from tree or branch to branch. But what it does is spreads out its fore legs and hind legs, and it has like this cowl that spreads out, and it looks like a parachute almost, and it kind of maneuvers and glides itself. So sugar gliders can be a pet if you want that type of pet. So those are the non-traditional pets: skunks, teacup pigs, African pygmy hedgehogs, fennec foxes, wallabies, capybaras, wolves, muntjac deers, and sugar gliders. Now, here's where we get to the last part of the pets, which are the exotic pets. Exotic pets. And before we talk about the exotic pets, I ran across this fact. About 5,000 tigers live in legal captivity in more than a dozen states. $5,000 tigers. Now, if you're going to own a tiger or even a cougar, because those two are on this exotic list, you better have a good budget to feed the tiger, because it consumes quite a bit of meat each and every day. So you're buying a lot of steaks, a lot of red meat. Yeah, you're buying a lot of that. But on this exotic list, and this is just a portion of the exotic list, because I'm sure there are more animals than this, but just the fact that these animals are on the list is amazing. It's amazing. So already gave you tigers and cougars, big cats, big cats. Then there are kangaroos, not wallabies, but kangaroos. Kangaroos and wallabies are in the same family. Wallaby is smaller, but a kangaroo. Then, where would you keep a kangaroo? In the backyard? And what does it do? I mean, how do you keep it in? Keep it in. You have a fence that's about 12 feet high so it doesn't jump out. And, it just jumps around the backyard. I mean, man, can you just imagine having that? But most people who have exotic pets have a lot of land space. So we'll just take that into account. If you got an exotic animal like a tiger or a cougar or a kangaroo, you've got some space, a farm per se. Then there's the two-toed sloth. And sloths are very slow-moving animals, so you're going to have some trees around because that's where they hang out. Then there are tarantulas. And, tarantulas are deadly spiders, so you want to beware of them. And, they're the furry kind of spiders, and they're probably the largest spider you'll ever run across. Then a couple of the other exotic animals, alligators. Yeah, that's another budget that you're going to have a lot of money to feed alligators, whatever you feed them, raw chickens, whatever. You got to have a budget to feed them on a regular basis. But I don't think I would want an alligator as a pet. Some of the others, a llama. Okay, I can see a llama, and a llama is in the camel family. So a llama is not a bad pet maybe to have. Porcupine. How do you pet that animal? I mean, they say exotic pets, but is it really a pet or is it just an animal that you have? But you call it a pet, so it's your porcupine. And, the quills on the back of the porcupines, man, you better be careful. Then, of course, there are the boa constrictors, pythons that people tend to have. And when they get tired of them, some of them, they just release them into the wild. And here in Florida, down in South Florida, a lot of people have released these snakes into the canal areas, and they become meals, or they consume meals of other animals down there. But there's an overgrowth of these snakes in the canal zones in South Florida, and they are trying to rid the south part of the state from this particular animal. And last on the exotic pet list, monkeys. Squirrel monkeys, probably one of the first monkeys. Chimpanzee, which is an ape more so than a monkey, even though they're all both in the same family. Orangutans have been pets. So you have these animals, and that was just a sampling of the exotic animals, because there are others. But you do the animals a disservice for the ones who need to be in the wild. Tigers, cougars, kangaroos, alligators, they need to be in the wild for the most part. But that's the list. And when you think about what's on the list, it's unbelievable that these animals are designated as pets that people can own. Now, not in every state, but in certain states that you can own these animals as pets. So if you got one, please treat them well, take care of them, and make sure that you do everything you can to keep them healthy and safe. So that's going to do it for our show today. Fido or Kitty, is that my pet? Talking about the pet industry and the multi-billion-dollar industry that it is and all the things that come with it. Hey, if you got a pet, take care of them. That's going to do it for me today. I'm Earl Kitchings, the host of the Kitchings Table, every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m., right here on Awesome Radio, WBIS LP 106.9, Roku, GPAC 23, Facebook Live, and YouTube. You can catch or find the show. Hope you had a great time today. As always, we want to bring you something to be informative, to engage you, to make you think, so that maybe you can share it with someone else. Until next week, remember, stay safe. COVID is still out there. So is monkeypox. Get your shots, get vaccinated, and do what you can to stay healthy. And if you haven't, register to vote because it's going to be critical. Until next week, I'm Earl Kitchings saying so long, bye-bye, until we see you then. Take care.